Another big game in the American. We have, again, that 6-team tie at the top of the American. Tulane at Memphis. Tulane's coming off of that very disappointing loss where they just got destroyed against UTSA on the road. And now they're having another tough road game in what is going to be another tough environment in Memphis. Tulane's got to figure some things out. Now, the defense had a lapse last week. They struggled mightily to stop that UTSA offense, but their own offense didn't exactly do much to help them out. So if you're Tulane, you kind of look at how do we bounce back? How do we flush last week and just move on, right? John Summerall's done a great job of getting his team to move on in various different situations, and this is another opportunity. You have a chance to continue your hopes to win the American Conference, and you get a direct opportunity to impact another team's chances in that same race. Now, Jake Retzlaff or Brendan Sullivan, whoever they're going to play at quarterback, has to be more consistent as a passer. And we've talked about this for most of the year. Jake Retzlaff and Brendan Sullivan, good runners at quarterback. We like what we see from them. However, the passing has not been consistent. There is not a threat as much as you would like to move the ball down the field, whether that's deep, intermediate routes. That has not been there. And we knew that there were going to be limitations, but how consistent can you be where you're going to be able to move the ball, where you can at least force teams to defend the pass against you? That is going to be a big question, because to be completely honest, the best passer from last week was Jimmy Callaway on his one touchdown pass that he threw, and he's a wide receiver. That's how bad it was last week. And not that there haven't been struggles before for this team at quarterback, but they've at least been able to navigate those. When your defense is also struggling to get stops, that's where things get real dicey for this team. Now, this is a team that is, again, still hanging on and unfortunately has to battle through their head coach getting a ton of recognition, a ton of love. And when you're good at the group of 5 level, Power 4 teams are going to notice, and they're going to eventually take your coach. That's just how it works right now. Now, John Summerall has a unique approach to how he handles this type of stuff, but it's still on the minds of all of his kids. You'd be naive to say that, oh, well, they're not thinking about that. No, they are. It's just how well are they able to refocus on the task at hand. Playing a Memphis team that is very dangerous still and very capable of doing exactly what UTSA did to this Tulane team last week should be the primary focus. They have to figure out, how do we bounce back against a very good football team? And Tulane's done good things this year. It's not that they're struggling, it's just that they had a rough game, and they've had 2 games where they haven't looked their best and they got punished for it. And one of them was the Ole Miss game, the other one was last week. Now you have to bounce back because your goals are still very much ahead of you, and this is still a good football team. The offense has to find that balance. The defense is going to have to figure out, how do you stop this Memphis offense? So when you look at what Memphis is going to be able to do, they have good balance. They really like to run the football, and they have a couple of receivers that present challenges for this Tulane secondary. How do you navigate those challenges? The front group has had the defensive line and linebackers, I should say, for Tulane have shown big time flashes of being disruptive and taking over a game. And the secondary is no stranger to turning the ball over. This secondary is very good at turning the ball over, especially when the front group is doing its part. So if that group can continue doing that, then Memphis is going to be in a tough spot. The big challenge this week is you're adding an element that you didn't have last week with Owen McCown as much, is mobility. Brendan Lewis is a mobile quarterback that's going to be able to escape some of the pressures that Tulane provides. How do you keep contain? How do you keep him from gashing you with his legs? And how do you prevent some of those scrambles that extend plays and keep things alive for a team that, again, is very dangerous? Memphis is explosive. Memphis is a dangerous football team offensively, and you have to find ways to be able to slow them down. On the other side of the ball, you also have a Memphis defense that is kind of similar to Tulane in a way, where they're kind of a scrappy group at times. They find ways to get the job done, but they also have guys that are able to be disruptive. So on the Memphis side of things, it's going to be, you need a big game from Brendan Lewis. The quarterback play is going to be a big time difference maker for either side. If it's Jake Retzlaff playing well or Brendan Sullivan, then Tulane's going to have that advantage. Brendan Lewis, though, has shown it a little bit more consistently than those Tulane quarterbacks. We've seen him do it a lot more consistently throughout this season. And the game against USF was a perfect example. Playing on an injury, gritting out a win. He is just the great quarterback that you wanted. And this is exactly what Memphis thought they were going to get when they brought him into campus. When they brought him to this program, especially after there were questions about, are they going to rebuild or are they trying to reload? The answer was reload. And Ryan Silverfield deserves a ton of credit for that decision to say, hey, we're not going to sit around and feel sorry for ourselves. We want to win this football game. We're going to win this conference. We're going to win whatever it is that we need to win. That was the mentality that he told his team that they're going to have in 2025. And so far, Brendan Lewis has been the perfect example of that. Not the most highly coveted transfer by any means. However, he has been a perfect fit for this offense. His legs obviously get the job done. We've talked about that. 562 yards. He leads the team in rushing. 8 touchdowns, leads the team as well. He has over 1,800 yards passing, 10 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. So again, he is not going to be a gunslinger by any means, but he is still very capable of running this offense and providing balance. The rushing attack has been led by Sutton Smith, and when they've needed an explosive play, Sutton Smith has been that guy. You also have Greg Duraze coming back from injury. He's healthy once again. That's a guy who is a dangerous weapon for this team as well. So you have 2 players that are averaging over 5.5 yards per carry. They have explosive ability, and that's something Tulane has to worry about in addition to Brendan Lewis. The biggest emergence, though, is coming into this year, we had questions about Memphis's passing attack, and we knew that the quarterback would play a huge role in that, and so far, Brendan Lewis has delivered. But who is going to be that wide receiver 1? That was the big question we had. And even right before the year, they didn't have that answer. You had guys that you were maybe considering, but then you bring in Cortez Brown. You brought him in late, literally weeks before the season began from Nevada, and he has been a bright spot in this offense. And the fact that he was able to get up to speed as quickly as he did tells you a lot about his abilities. 39 catches for 632 yards and 7 touchdowns. You'd like to see other guys get a little bit more involved. There's not another player on this team that has more than 1 touchdown receiving, but that's kind of the nature of the offense. And Bram's been the guy that's delivered time and time again, and it hasn't just been routine plays either. He's made some highlight reel grabs that are going to be on SportsCenter. They're going to be talked about, and he is a dangerous threat for a Tulane secondary that is very good. Now, flipping to the defensive side of the ball for Memphis, this is a group that has played really well at times, and they've been extremely disruptive as well. The linebacker position has been as expected. You brought in some transfers that you were hoping would deliver, and so far the hit rate on all of those have been really good. Sam Brumfeld leads the team in tackles with 66, also has 12 tackles for loss. Drew Watts, Cortez Bram's teammate from Nevada, 50 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. Everett Rusa, 45 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss. DeMarco Ward, 48 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. This is a group that has stepped up in a big way, and that's a group that hasn't played together before this year. So the fact that they're doing what they're doing speaks to the coaching and what they're able to do. And Ryan Silverfield deserves a lot of credit for this team. That is going to be a fun group to watch and a fun battle to see how do they slow down this Tulane offense, because Tulane has the ability to make life very difficult for Memphis, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be fun, and Memphis is favored by 6 points right now. I have a feeling that that line is going to go down as the week progresses, and you're going to see, I think, an absolute battle between these teams. I'm going to go with the Memphis Tigers to win this one. I trust what they do a little bit more. Brendan Lewis is more reliable at the quarterback position, and he's played well in big games before, and that's the edge I think that Memphis needs to win this game.